Oh, Jesus Christ. Welcome back, students, to another episode of Dorkology101. I'm your host and Dean of Dorks, Tony Smith. Today's topic is all about shows and movies that were so good that we had to read the source material. As always, I'm joined by some of my favorite scholars, Mark, Brandon, and Paul.
What's up, everyone?
Hi.
Morning, everyone.
Before we get started, I want to ask listeners to please hit the like and subscribe button. It's easy, it's fast, and really helps the channel grow. I guess we can start this off with Mark, since it's Mark's topic. Kick it off, Mark.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with one anime that I watch. And yes, I agree. CGI was not great. The story can be edgy at best. And honestly, they skipped a lot in the source material. But that anime was Ari Fureta, from Common World to World's Strong, from Commonplace to World's Strongest.
Loving anime so far.
Like, I remember finishing the first season and I was like, I want more. I need more. Yeah. So I went and read the 11 light novel in less than like 2 months.
I wish I the manga. I really do.
And you, for people who read it, like I did, I don't know if you guys read some of it or not, but people that I've seen on forums and such are dying right now, like literally dying, can't wait. They're craving the 12th book because the way that the 11th one ended, like in such a huge cliffhanger, like right now, I'm thinking about it every day, and I'm not shitting you guys. Like, March 22nd cannot come fast enough right now.
Yeah, I'm too visual for to read as much, and we'll touch more on that when my turn rolls around. But
I know that you're visual and you like Shia. That's for that reason.
I've tried to get into manga. Like I've tried several times, and it just doesn't like click for me the way the anime does. And so I even tried reading anime I've already seen, and it just didn't do it for me. Like
I do understand the manga part. Like, I'm having a hard time reading manga, not because I don't like them. It just feels like $15 to $20 for a book that I will take 20 minutes to read sucks.
Bro, I would honestly read. There's no way I would spend money on them. I would definitely read them.
But you know what? The Ari Fureta part, like that, they basically skipped the old third book, if you ask me.
Really?
Like the in one episode they covered the third book where he went with the bunny people.
Yeah.
The Holy race, I think they're called.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Like, we don't see them training Shia to go with them. We, like, you and Shia were basically fighting and training, and she had to like hit her, like to do damage on you once to be able to join them. We don't see Hajime fighting the Oya people to train them and become like the super like bloodthirsty mercenary they become.
Yeah.
Like they skipped so many source material that I am so happy that I went and read the book.
I mean, I don't know how much in detail. I'm sure there's far more detail in the book.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it does show her go up against I can't remember her name, the little vamp girl.
Yeah,
you do see her go up against her
but the training went for like 15 days.
Yeah, you can tell that it's obviously condensed down. But I mean, like, honestly, do we need to see all that in anime? Not really.
I'll be honest, you need to know they were trained to be bloodthirsty mercenaries.
Yeah,
later on, but
yeah, we get that entirely. By the end of the general montage, we are made to very much believe that they are very bloodthirsty by the end. We just don't see the whole process. But there is a montage to show how sweet and kind they are and how he has to like push them to like stop thinking about this the fluffy butterflies.
They're not fluffy anymore.
Yeah, and then they become like, they realize that, they kick ass.
And another anime that I read the book just because I enjoyed it so much, because sometimes you need a comedic relief, right? Something funny, something fun to read, nothing fancy. And I watched Konosuba and I figured, why not read it? It's so fun to watch. It's funny. And
I love Konosuba.
Yeah, I'm at book 11 right now. and it's a comedic relief. Everything goes to hell right now in my life, and I'm reading it and I'm grinning. Like there's water on the floor right now because of the flood damage that I have and everything. Well, not anymore, but anyway. And I was just reading it and seeing how like I reread the fifth book when he went to the Crimson Demon Village and he was like find the Chimera. It's like there's something pushing against me. Oh yes, there is. I'm not. And I was laughing my ass off, even though I knew it.
It's always to come across
a fun story.
Yeah, and it's always nice to come across something that makes you smile. It doesn't have to be the best written thing in the world, although Konosuba is very well written. I think that's what I respect most about Konosuba, because it is comedy, like first and foremost. It is comedy, but it is comedy with story. And a lot of times it's really hard to balance that. A lot of anime will focus on just the comedy and the story kind of goes nowhere. Now,
it's like they only focus. There's some that will only focus on the same joke. Let's say the cautious hero that's being cautious, but they did it well because it's not overused and it's not repetitive. It's not boring to watch. And Konosuba gets it that way too.
Bro,
Cautious Hero is another great one.
Great one. I have the books here. I'm going to start reading it soon after I'm done with Grimgar.
I laughed. So I might have, honest to God, I might have laughed more at Cautious Hero than I did at Konosuba. It is just, my God, it's just how funny. Although I will say this, the final episode had me in tears. Like it was so sad. When you find out like a lot of the truth of what's going on, I was like heartbroken. Like, oh my God, this is...
That's one of the reasons I got the books.
Yeah, I was like, how dare you fool me with all this laughter just to hit me with that shit, you sons of bitches.
And another honorable mention that I'm currently reading, it's actually a manga, and it's Akame ga Kill.
Oh.
You know why? You know why I'm reading it? Not because I needed more of it, because the story is completed and I can live with it. It was awesome and everything. But because they changed the story in the manga and in the anime.
Really?
They did. And I'm reading it to have the quote unquote happy ending that I want for the main guy in mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Tatsuya, I think his name is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for Tatsuya in mind, the best girl. But, yep, those were my 3 books. My 3 content.
Yeah, I like I said, man, I wish I could get into manga like that, because all 3 of those are something I would absolutely love to learn more about. Unfortunately, my peasant ass cannot do it, so I'm stuck to anime, where I will be lucky if I get the second season for most of the stuff that I like. But anyway, Brandon, how about you hit us with something magic?
All right. Because this is going to hurt everybody. Tokyo Ghoul.
I'm okay with that.
Because I got so frustrated. I watched the first episode of the second season. I was like, screw this shit.
Yeah.
I went and I spent $400 and bought the entire collection.
Damn.
I can understand that, man. I have it on my wish list.
And when I tell you they fucked up so hard.
Yeah, I keep people saying all the time that
like you can psychologically see why Kaneki is the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
After you can you can see how psychologically messed up he is. 2, you not only see what he does with the tick and why he ends up being god awfully too powerful for his own good.
Oh, you're gonna make me buy it.
Yeah,
you do know he's
really well done.
Like, I forget what the guy's name is. It's the guy with the suit that always wants to like eat anything that's special.
The gourmet.
Yeah, there's a reason why him and Kaneki are kind of like each other in a way.
Yeah,
because Kaneki everybody he kills, he eats.
Well, yeah,
Kaneki and all. That's why he's OP.
Well, he does eat Ghoul, which is like taboo.
Yeah, because it kind of starts driving you a little insane.
Yeah. It's a bit like it's like human being cannibal, I guess.
Yeah, in
it
real
does
life,
affect your brain.
that actually does happen if you eat actual human. I know this is a weird.
It affects your brain.
It can affect your brain, and
so it makes sense. Eating a ghoul will affect his brain.
Yeah, so that actually tracks.
And what's messed up is that you find out what actually happened to all his friends from the coffee shop because they don't actually do a good telling of what happened.
No, they don't.
As long as Luca's alive, I'm fine.
Bro, I never read 1 ounce of the manga, and I could tell that they did not do that story well at all.
Bro, it's really sad because a friend of mine was like, "Oh, did you watch Tokyo Ghoul Re?" I'm like, "I read it." He's like, I repeat it again. I read it.
Yeah.
I refused to. That was just bad.
I tried to watch that anime, and I think I finished it. It's one of those anime I watched. I believe I finished it, but I knew it came out with like a second season of like the sort of reboot, and it's so bad and so boring.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
it's on my list to watch, but I haven't
because
gotten
it
to it
doesn't
yet.
stick. What's funny, it doesn't stick to the source material. And it's not that it doesn't stick to it fully. You get lost because you're missing such a huge gap of information.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 seasons of Tokyo Ghoul, and I was like, I'm about to start the third one. Like, I had no idea how much they fucked up back then.
Yeah,
and I start watching it, I was like, what the fuck is happening in here?
You missed the discovery of certain things. You missed how they capture him. You missed the things he forms. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they really skip on a lot of shit there.
Yeah, I would say the first Tokyo Ghoul, I think, was really well done. Was really cool, really intriguing. It had me like completely like locked in for this story to continue. And then I got the second season. I would say the very beginning of the second season was cool, and then it just fell off the deepest cliff imaginable. And then they tried to like reboot it. I can't even call it a like complete reboot because there are mentions to the past, but at the same time, like it's like I can't even begin to describe what that was. But it was boring, and I was so confused that I finished the first season of it, and I knew I was not going back for that second. I was like, nope, I'm dropping this now. I can't do this. Not again.
What's funny is it's like the other one I want to talk about, which is D. Gray Man.
Yes, D. Gray. Somebody else has talks about the great D. Gray Man.
First of all, D. Gray Man is one of the best animes out there. I don't care what Andy would argue. You can pull me. I'm saying Naruto. I'm just gonna go, but D. Gray Man though.
But D. Gray Man though, the first season is dope. It is so dope. I watched it. I remember the first time I watched it was like years ago. I was looking for something to aid in like my shonen fix, because at that time I really didn't know like what show. I've been watching anime since I want to say the late 80s, early 90s. But at that time there was no internet or whatever, so I'd survive off of like VHS tapes that my buddy used to get, who he used to get from a cousin of his, I think overseas or something. Whatever the case, he would get, every so often he would get like VHS tapes of animes and such. And we used to, man, whenever he came around, I was like, hey, I got a new box. Man, we used to head down to his basement and just binge all of them. At a certain point, was watching Naruto and such. And this is the point in time where I started really watching it online, because you would have like Toonami and whatnot, which kept like restarting stories and whatnot. So I didn't know like wherever it was going. So I started watching it online, and I needed a fix. I needed something to fill in the gaps when I was waiting for the next episode. And I came across a website that had a bunch of anime I could watch. And D. Gray Man was one of the ones I latched onto. At first, I was like, what is this? And then I realized like it had, I guess, especially at the time, I was like, whoa, they have some cool powers. Like, whoa, what is that? And then I was locked in to a really dope story that when they tried to give us a second season, fell off a cliff. They gave us a second season after like 15 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And
What's funny is I have a similar thing to that. Because when I got into anime, I saw it as a kid. They came back to it as like a teenager. This is why I love my cousin. I came into my aunt's house and flicked on Naruto when it was in English dub. My cousin immediately walked over, turned the TV off, looked at me, said, "Come here." Went up to his room and he was like, "Pick what you want to watch." And I was like, "What?" Like he had DVD birds. And I was just like, let's try. Like the first thing I pulled was D Gray Man. And I literally just watched the whole thing in one night. And he was like, "How'd you like it?" "I need more."
Yes.
Did any of us not have a friend like that who had like just a wall full of bootleg anime on VHS?
I mean,
I didn't have any friends like that. Like,
I don't know.
I like to be honest, I had no friends really into anime at all.
Well, that's a sad thing.
Yeah, I just
was,
happened to found some later on in my life. So
I grew up in an urban neighborhood, so the idea of anime was just unheard of. Like, I mean, like, it's hilarious.
Dude, I live in the countryside. Like, there was forests everywhere. We had internet in 2005, and it was dial-up.
But taking up enough time on that. Paul, you got anything?
You know me. Lately, I haven't been able to read much. I haven't been able to get myself to read much. Like, I bought the manga to Bleach. Everyone knows Bleach.
Never watched Bleach, but I know Bleach.
Haven't gotten to the manga yet. Also interested in Ghost in the Shell, Kami-sama Kiss, Monster Musume. But as far as stuff I've actually read, the first one that came to mind was the 1980s David Lynch version of Dune, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen that.
I watched part of the original and was very confused. I hear the new one is awesome. The new movie.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
I'll get around to it eventually, but I didn't realize it was a book or comic book or whatever the case may be.
Oh yeah, a whole series.
That's awesome.
And it's way weirder in the books. Way weirder in the books.
I probably won't check that. I mean, I won't read it, but maybe I will. I mean, maybe it'll be the first thing I go back and be like, "Oh my God, I got to read that." I have no idea. You know, nothing's triggered me like that except the one I will talk about. I've heard nothing but really cool things except for the original. I've heard nothing but weird things about the original one.
Yeah, and if you're on any of the Dune shitposting groups, you have different camps. You have people who think that the I think it was 1984 when it came out. Could be wrong on that. Someone's probably going to fact check me on it. But and they argue a lot about, oh well, the David Lynch version, put in a lot of stuff like the weirding modules don't exist in the books. That there was a lot of stuff left out of the film, but what you were talking about earlier, there's a lot of things that just aren't going to translate well to a visual medium.
Yeah.
And that you just have to leave out. And regarding the new movie, they were really angry over the fact that they didn't have Gurney playing the balisette, which I don't think really adds anything to the story. But they were so mad that they didn't include every piece of the book, which is impossible to get into a feature-length film, considering how long the book is.
Those unrealistic expectations, they just absolutely murder me. And it goes across the board, whether it's novels, whether it's cartoons, comic books, whatever. There's always this group of people who's really expect them to go beat for beat with these books. And I'm like, bro, again, it costs so much more to make these things than it does to make a book. No matter how big the book is physically, there's a drop in a bucket in cost of what it is to make a movie or a TV series or anything. Hell, a cartoon. It is far more expensive. So they have to cut things down, especially if it's a very long, drawn out series in the book and they only have X amount of episodes or, a 2 hour or hour and a half movie. I mean, what are you gonna do? So shut the hell up.
Yeah. And appropriately, the next one is to follow in that vein, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I didn't read it so much as the audiobook version, which is really good if you've never listened to it.
That's
so good.
I never considered audiobooks. Maybe I'll do that.
I think I took it out from the local library, and the person who did the narration was just so good. And regarding differences between the book and the movie, I was like, who the hell is Tom Bombadil? Like, they don't even mention him at all in the films, and suddenly this guy has this big part in the books. And
it's always like that, man.
As far as the geek community is concerned, I have heard that as far as adaptations go, Lord of the Rings, the original Lord of the Rings, the original 3, is done better than any other adaptation I think has ever been done. Obviously, they're very, very big books. So obviously, everything can't be included in that. But apparently, as far as it goes, even the most hardcore fans praise them for how well they did the movies. I would love to read Lord of the Rings. And maybe I will. The audiobook aspect idea makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, the audiobooks definitely makes it a lot easier.
Next time, when you get a chance, look up which one you listen to and send me like a link or whatever information on it. I might look into it because I would love to hear the original story. I think it would be just great.
Yeah, no problem, man. My third pick would have to be Dante's Inferno. I played it on the PS4, and after playing it, wait, was it PS4? May have been PS3. I think it was actually PS3. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna look up the original Dante's Inferno, read it, and I did that on audiobook too. And for those of you who have never been exposed to the original Dante's Inferno, imagine you made a list of every single person in your life who has pissed you off or wronged you, and then write a whole story about how each of them is burning in hell. That's Dante's Inferno. Well, aside from the fact that the main character is trying to rescue his love, who somehow found herself in hell, but yeah, that's basically the story.
It's like
I did want to play the game back in the day and never got the chance to do it, so
graphics are so good. Oh my god, it's so artistic and well done.
I'll look into that now because you said if I remember, it is like 7 rings of hell or something like that, right? Like each floor of hell is like
there's 9th floor, I think.
9th floor.
9 circles of hell each for different types of sinners. The game itself was really, really well done. It was very artistic. I don't recall which studio made it. But it was a trip. It was like, when you're playing it, you're thinking, oh my god, what were they on when they made this? Like, I go into detail, but I'm not sure it's appropriate for this for this podcast. Now, some of the
it's not for adult kids anyway, so
no.
Nope.
The lust part of hell.
Yeah, when you go against, I think it was Cleopatra.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's on my download list now. To be honest, the game was always on my download list back for a while now that I want to play, since I love the original work of Dante's Inferno, like the book and the story, the mythology behind it and everything. Not only for the game, but the old 9 Circle of Hell thing. I'm a sucker for those kind of things. Yeah.
But it also sounds like an incredible book that I might want to listen to. It sounds wild, like it will be wild. But sliding along, I guess it's me. I unfortunately don't have as many as you guys did. I am not, like I've mentioned before, am not a big book reader anymore. I used to be, especially comic books. But I don't know, at a certain point in time when I became a teenager, I just lost my love of just reading. I mean, I still read, stuff online, comic book stuff online, but a lot of the cliff notes and so on and so forth. If there's something I've seen recently and I want to know more about that thing, I'll jump to those things to learn about them. But I never go through the process of reading the entire series and whatnot. I can't really do that much anymore. But there was one time that stands out to me entirely, and that was the 1994 hit, The Mask. I remember seeing that in theaters.
My God. Jim Carrey at his best.
Theaters and being blown away by just how funny and amazing it is. And I'm not going to get too deep into the production of how the film worked out or whatever, but Jim Carrey is just, it was his first big major film, and it launched him into stardom. He was already popular in Living Color. They gave him a shot for The Mask, and he just nailed it. Just freaking nailed it. So, of course, me being a big Jim Carrey fan from his In Living Color days, and then him just crushing it in this, I, of course, wanted to read once I figured out that, oh, snap, there's a comic book for it, let me read that. Forget everything you know about that movie when you read that comic book. Holy crap. The comic book is created, the story in the comic book is created by Dark Horse Comics, which for some people may not know, they're actually pretty big and pretty well known. It's just unfortunately DC and Marvel kind of dominate the world, but they're actually responsible for a lot of really cool stories. Sin City, Hellboy. There's one that I can't remember right now. But anyway, I ended up reading this. I bought a bunch of the comic books, and man, I dove into these things. And the first time I opened up this thing, I'm expecting just hilarious antics and goofy comedy. My God, the gore and violence in this is just mind-blowing. Just insanity. We're talking about a guy who has the powers of pretty much anything. He has cartoon physics, which means he can do anything. If you've seen the Mask movie, you have the general concept of what he can do. He operates outside of how reality's physics operates. So he can do anything he wants. There are some powers that they don't mention in the movie that he has. I think one that comes to mind is he can actually transform into people. You don't see that in there. He can legitimately transform into people by creating an alter, like a skin puppet that he steps into. And it looks exactly like the person. You wouldn't have any idea. But when he pulls it off, it's like he's pulling off his own skin. It is gruesome. Gruesome to see.
But I'll be honest with you, I never knew The Mask had a comic.
It does, and it is a nightmare. It is an awesome nightmare, though. Basically, it's nothing like the comic books, the movie whatsoever. The only really overlapping thing is Stanley Ipkiss as a character. He is about as hapless and kind of the punching bag of the town for some reason, the city for some reason. Everybody treats this guy like crap, even if you barely know him. I never understood why they do that, but they do. And then he gets the mask. The difference is in the comic books, he buys the mask from a shop. In the movie, he finds it in Edge City River or whatever. He puts on the mask and he finds he has this incredible power. The difference is in the movie, it's an alter ego, but that alter ego is more, it comes down to however it is you are, your personality, your deep-seated, how deep-seated your personality is and what characteristic desire you have. So for Stanley Ipkiss in the movies, it's more about him being at heart, he's kind of a cartoonish guy. You see him in the show, the movie, as he watches lots of cartoons. He wants to be, noticed and fun and funny and whatnot. So that's what manifests when he puts on the mask for him. Whereas the villain, Dorian, towards the end of the movie, puts on the mask and he becomes kind of a nightmare. Still has the cartoon physics aspect, but he is a lot darker. There's even a storm cloud that pops up overhead when he puts on the mask. But in the comic books, it operates a bit differently. It's still the alternate, personality, but it's more like a virus or a parasite where it does change your personality, but it operates more on your deepest, darkest desires. And you carry those out, and everybody who puts on a mask is different, just like in the movie. But as people wear it over time, it changes their personality. So unlike Stanley Ipkiss in a movie where he puts it on and takes it off, he becomes just Stanley Ipkiss again, and he's a little bit like, oh my God, I shouldn't be wearing this because I'm being too cartoonish and weird in the streets. Where in the comic book, it's more like depression kicks in and insanity kicks in because of the grief they feel for all the mayhem and murder they've caused while wearing this mask. It really takes a psychological toll on the wearer. But at the same time, it's also like addictive in that they cannot escape putting it on. And the only reason they get rid of it is either the person dies after taking it off, like Stanley Ipkiss' character in the comics, or it is thrown away by the person as a last ditch effort to get away from the mask entirely. It is insane. The things that the mask in Big Head, by the way, his name is Big Head in the comic books for obvious reasons. He has a big green head. But like one of the scenes I remember is in the movie, Jim Carrey's character as a mask creates a balloon animal of a machine gun, kind of a machine gun, balloon animal deal. And it turns into a Tommy gun and he scares them off with it. In the comic books, I should actually add that there are multiple wearers of the mask over the course of these books. Stanley Ipkiss actually only exists in like the first half, I think, of the first comic. In the second half of the comic, it's like his girlfriend's wearing it, but it's the commissioner, not the commissioner, the guy who's chasing him, I can't remember his name, the lieutenant who's chasing Stanley in the movies, he gets the mask and becomes this monster vigilante who also causes mayhem and destruction. He wants to clean up the city, and at first he's doing that, but then afterwards he becomes psychotic just like every other mask wearer and starts just murdering people, no matter who it is, as long as it's entertaining to him. And at one point he does the Tommy gun bit, and he blows a bunch of people away. They were criminals. They just killed a store clerk or something like that. And he wipes them out entirely, like just a bloodbath. He shot a cop in the dick. It was pretty funny, actually. That's one thing that always stood out to me. He literally takes a gun, puts it in his pants, and shoots his dick off. It's insane.
That's one thing, I guess.
One part that was really gruesome to me, and I don't know why, it always, I guess it's one of those images that always sticks with you. There's a scene where he goes back to school and remembers a teacher. I don't know if it was his teacher or just a teacher, but he remembers his teacher being really mean to him. So he sees a teacher who is kind of belittling one of her students and decides at first to mess with the teacher so the kids get a laugh and whatnot. And it's funny at first until it's not funny anymore. At one point, he sticks his foot all the way in her mouth and suffocates her to death with his foot in his mouth.
Jesus
it is
Christ.
Insane. I'm saying, it's nuts to the point where the students are like, "Stop! You're hurting her." They're legitimately crying and just upset by what's happening. Dude, the entire comic book is just a nightmare, but an entertaining nightmare. If you can get past the gore and stuff, if you got a strong stomach for it, it is one heck of an insane read. It's also really short. The series, each book is 3 or 4 issues. There's, I think, 1 or 2 one-shots or whatever, but they're really short to read. I've only read, I think, 4 of them. I know it's The Mask Returns, and The Mask Strikes Back, or something like that, which I'm assuming is a play on the Star Wars titles. And there's 1 more, I can't remember. But they were all very interesting. The first one and the second are definitely my favorites because they dealt with Stanley Ipkiss, his girlfriend, and the lieutenant. all having the mask and what they do with it. Every story is like that, but those three were those two books were the best. I would very much suggest reading them if you haven't. If you're looking for a gory, insane time, read them. They are just amazingly insane. I can't describe them any better than that. But I loved it. But yeah, that's the best I can tell on that one. Unfortunately, I don't have any other ones to talk about, but I love that one. So, anything else to add, guys? I think we've kind of
No, pretty much done.
No.
yeah, we hit our mark on that one. All right, so I do believe that's the end of the time we have today. I want to thank fellas for coming out as always. Why don't you guys kind of tell them where they can find you online?
You can find me on Twitch, over Twitter, TikTok, Facebook Gaming, at LeonardX44.
Find me on Twitch, Twitter, Hover, XPad, TikTok, at AmericanBlackUp.com. You can find me on Twitter at The Blackup.
And you could find me on Twitch or Twitter or any of the major platforms like YouTube, Facebook, at either ELEMWIZ or LMWiz Gaming.
And as always, you can find me, Supersize Senpai, on Twitch, Twitter, and of course YouTube. I am applying to a few other things, but those won't really be up yet. I'm also Supersize on Facebook Gaming, so check me out there. And you can also join up with my geek group, the Hidden Geek Village. Please join us on any of these because, we'd love to have you around and hear your thoughts. As always, thank you for listening. I guess we'll see you next week. Take it easy.